Jesus' stories about a shepherd searching the fields to find a lost sheep, and an old woman sweeping her cottage to find a small coin, seem to most of us rather quaint and even hopelessly outdated. Yet, what if in our day Jesus had phrased questions such as, which of you as a parent who on the first day of school waited for your young child to return home on the school bus, and when your child did not get off the bus, which of you would not call the bus garage and the school, or wait for the second bus, even if you had to cancel your dental appointment? Which one of you, if your family dog broke its leash and ran away, would not search the entire neighborhood for the dog, calling for him to come, even if that meant you had to postpone preparing dinner or be late to the office party? Would you not rejoice when your child was found, even if she had not paid attention and got on the wrong bus? Would you not be relieved when you found your dog, even if the dog had trudged through a swamp, was sprayed by a skunk, and was caked with mud before being found? If you would respond this way to your child or family pet, do you not think God would respond to each one of us? Do you not think that God, who created us all, would treat our neighbor any less than our family dog? We live in a world that loves to hedge its bets. And in contrast to all the ambiguous messages and miragerie of choices out there, Jesus does not hedge his bets on the extent of God's love. In their context and with proper translation, Jesus' parables are usually remarkably straightforward. They do not demand deep philosophical debates about God. They're incisive. They make a point, and they invite a response. And the point of these parables today is that God is always searching and always wishes to find people. The parable of the lost sheep isn't really about shepherding. If there's only one shepherd for a flock of 100 sheep, and the shepherd simply takes off over the hill in search of one, leaving the rest unprotected, you can be very sure there are going to be several more sheep lost by the time the shepherd gets back. And the parable has really nothing to do with the sheep themselves. The one sheep that was found didn't repent in the least. It was just a stupid sheep wandering aimlessly, just like any of the other 99, crying ba, ba, ba until it was found. The spotlight is on the individual shepherd who would not give up searching for the missing sheep, and was glad to find it. And in the same manner, the parable of the lost coin is really about the woman who kept looking and looking and would not give up. And even though she only lost one coin and had 9 more, she refused to give up until she found the coin and put it in a safe place. And Jesus was proclaiming that God is like that extraordinary shepherd, seeking after the one wandering aimlessly. God is like the one who rejoices when the family pet is found safe. God is like the woman who searched for the missing coin. And it didn't matter which particular coin was lost. If any one of her coins was missing, she would have searched for it and not be satisfied until every single one was safely accounted for. What does it mean to be godlike? It means to go after strays, to be stubbornly persistent after those who have lost their way, those who are isolated from love and human kindness. To be godlike means not to be satisfied until all are safe and none are shivering out in the cold. So let's be clear about it. The church's mission has very little to do about building a larger herd of obedient and needy sheep. The world doesn't need a base of sheep baa-baa-baaing all over the place any more than the world needs more talk radio stations. Rather, Jesus teaches us to be a repairer of breaches, a healer of wounds, a reconciler of enemies, a facilitator of justice and dignity to humanity. In the story of the woman and coin, there's no hidden message on the virtues of good housekeeping or of keeping one's savings in an FDIC-insured bank or the lesson that she should have gotten an 18-month certificate of deposit. The woman seeks to find and reclaim something of value. And isn't that a prime mission of the gospel? To reclaim the dignity and worth of the people of earth? Story isn't about coins. It's about the discovery of worth and potential of greater good, kindness, and understanding among humanity. And the parables are very, very consistent in announcing that God's benevolent concern for humanity is unrelenting and unconditional. If you are ever lost, you can count that God in some way wishes to find you. You can trust God on this. Robin Williams remains one of my favorite movie actors, and his death was a great loss to the profession. His facial expressions are priceless. And I guess this dates me, but a little over 20 years ago, he starred in a movie called What Dreams May Come. And the script is about a couple that suffers the tragic loss of their two children. The wife is overwhelmed with grief, blames herself, and cannot forgive herself. And then the husband, played by Williams, dies in an automobile accident and is welcomed into heaven and reunited with his children. And finally, alone and in complete despair, the distraught wife takes her own life and is sent to hell. Now, it becomes apparent that their marriage has endured a lot of pain. But Williams, as the husband, refuses to be separated from his wife and pursues his wife into the realms of hell in order to bring her back with him. Now, all sorts of obstacles are placed in his way, which would deter even the most heroic person. And the storyline is a little spotty at times. But the computer-generated visual effects are quite stunning and earned the movie the Academy Award for special effects in that year. And yet, Williams' character persists and does not give up until he finds her and rescues his wife from the dismal cave of death's and hell's jaws. Okay, the movie has been criticized for its view of heaven and hell and its positive view of reincarnation and its apparent absence of God. It's fair enough criticism on the first two, but not on the third. I'm not so sure that God is absent. And despite its flaws, the movie is still an excellent one to show a high school youth group on movie night. Hear that? High school youth group, movie night. Okay. It really is. For the main theme of the movie is William's unrelenting refusal to give up on his wife. William's refused to let any power or principality on earth or in heaven or under the earth, he refused to let nothing in all creation separate him from the one he loved. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Yes? It's from Romans, okay? Romans 8. I knew this choir was sharp, you know. Now, I've never liked the image of God sitting on a heavenly marble throne, similar to a giant version of the Lincoln Memorial. And parenthetically, I'm not sure Lincoln himself would feel very comfortable sitting way up there, gazing down at the crowds as they're climbing up and huffing and puffing up all those steps. I suspect he would much prefer to be down in the mall, putting his arm around the shoulders of a visitor at the Vietnam Memorial Wall. So if there is a throne somewhere in heaven, I doubt God is rarely on it. I suspect God has left the throne and would be found running down the lane, welcoming a lost son, or in a house in a modest rural town, laying hands on a feverish woman, or is the next door neighbor helping an old woman move her sofa so she can find something she lost. And I suppose God spends even more time at the school bus stop in the rain or calling naughty dogs home than any of us can imagine. As I listen to Jesus' parables, God is described first and foremost as a searcher and healer of human hearts. And I can well imagine God looking eerily like a disheveled Robin Williams, for that is precisely the type of picture of God that Jesus gives us. Well, lastly, in conclusion, I want to convey again how much a privilege it has been to be celebrant at your altar and preacher in this pulpit today. And I hope you won't take what I'm about to say as overly presumptuous. You have some beautiful stained glass windows that superbly complement the magnificent architecture. But so many of the faces of Jesus and the disciples in the windows, well, so many of them seem a little bland and equally forgettable, don't you know? So I suggest, and this is only a suggestion, but at your next capital campaign, would you please consider replacing one of those faces with the determined face of Robin Williams as he is trying to find his wife in the movie What Dreams May Come. You see, I think his face captures what the word incarnation is all about. Actually, looking at the stressed and intense face of Williams searching for his wife in hell gives us some pretty good clues of why at the beginning of creation all of us were fashioned in the image of God. Oh yes, I think God is always in the picture if we look. And I offer you this in the name of our living and ever-searching Savior.